So wanted to attempt to do a yearly review. Actually, if I can get this to big screen view. Whoa, yes, okay. So these were my stats for the whole year. I had 54 trades, 35% win rate, 7.7.5 hours gross, 2.5 hours net. So not bad, not great, but at least we're not in the red anymore. So that's pretty damn good. Approximately, apparently I had 8 blunders, which I don't fully believe. I definitely had more. I like 54 trades, but more so early on. But there's probably a lot of markup errors and stuff like that, so not really sure. Average win is 1.3 hours. I'd like that to be higher. That was something I was battling with. I realized later into the months when I was getting a bit more consistent, a bit more profitable, that my average winners are quite low. So that's something I'm gonna have to work on. These are the detailed stats. I had an EV of 1.4, and this is not in Rs, this is dollars, so not the best. For $10 risk, 1.4 profit factor. And yeah, not the happiest with this, but I definitely am happy that I'm finally out of the red hole. So gonna keep on working on increasing my profits, decreasing my losers, getting bigger average wins, and sizing up. I think that's gonna make the biggest difference. So just for some stats, the best floats were quiet as trades, so nothing outstanding like the 100 to 300 range, the 500 to 1 billion. So basically, I think there's nothing really interesting here. Short interest also from 0 to 15% were the best ones. Above that, it dropped off, but I had like 5 trades here and then one trade. So still not really something that I like to get a takeaway from or draw conclusions based off of. I think I just need more reps in here, and I gotta study Squeeze Player because they can be very opportunistic daily setups. And there was a big difference here. By far, the best ones were the gap outer range and the 3 bar play. Although these were the trades that happened the most often, except for the horizontal level T1 break, which was also profitable, but not very good considering I had 3.2 Rs on 11 trades. So maybe it's just a lack of catalyst. For now, not gonna do anything with it, gonna let the data play out a bit further because, as I said, these trades they weren't big enough sample size, but still, I just wanted to do just get into the habit of it. News surrounding news were by far the best. Guessing that most of my trades were in the news category. I'm not the best at gappers and day ones, but usually the setups after that. So like second day plays, 3 bar plays, or news, and that ABCDs afterwards. But yeah, it seems like it's 3 bar plays, but gap out range. This is kind of like clashing with this. 3 bar plays are not, but the news and the gap out range are. So I don't know. As I said, I'm gonna let the data play out and see how it goes. Spy influence maybe, and no were the by far the best ones where we had spy influence. I guess it just didn't have good enough ARPO and stuff like that. So that's why we got a shitty result on that one. Did my stock run? We had 30 trades that said yes, 2 trades that said no, and then 6 trades that I could have used but wasn't runner. Meaning my stock selection is pretty good, that it's mostly just my execution that's tripping me up. Execution timing and stuff like that. So these were the risks I've taken. I've had one trade, 0.25 Rs, which came out to basically a 1 hour trade or something like that. I don't know how that 0% win rate and minus 3.26 EV. Don't ask me that. I'm not sure how that. I don't know. Okay. So we had half an hour for 26 trades. The outcome of that was 1.5 hours net. All these data are excluding violations. So at 52% win rate, 0.17 EV, that's dollars again, and then a 0.97 profit factor. I don't know how that's possible. It should be above one. That should basically that I'm profitable, or at least I think so. Yeah, okay, I don't think my calculations are correct here. This should be above one since I have positive 1.5 hours. Maybe I applied it to with blunders. I know. The 1 hours, I got almost 11 hours on that one, so that's the best one out of 20 trades. Again, not the best. 60% win rate, 5.43 V. I think this was good calculation. I redid this because it seemed very off. Then a 3.51 profit factor. Again, not sure about that one. Then for 2 hours, I had 2 trades. Actually, I had 3, I think, but one of them was a violation, maybe. Not sure. 2.9 hours, same ticker, same play. One on one, I lost 2 hours. On the other one, I got like, I guess, 5 hours net. I think it was 2 rewards. So pretty okay. 14.5 EV in dollars. That tracks. That was good. 2.53 profit factor. That also seems pretty okay. I made the calculation. And I also had the time to work metric. So usually the ones that had the biggest R's are the ones that worked within like 5 to 20 minutes, which is interesting. It means that my stocks are usually a bit slower moving stocks, and I'm guessing that these are the plays that unfolded later on in the day. The worst one obviously is the Never that didn't even get to 1 hour. So yeah, other than that, it's just the small scraps in the 20 minutes plus and the 0 to 5 minute range, which is interesting. Yet again, too small data sample to draw conclusions from, but I'm gonna keep an eye out for this one as well. Then for Arbol, it's pretty even. Nothing super outstanding here. I had 8 blunders, which again I doubt, which caused me minus 6.5 hours net, 3 of which were under 100% Arbol versus 1 hour, one says 2 hour. So not really sure how these got into here. I'm guessing the 2 hour was a very emotional day. I had 3 from Amalgamation and 3 from A-List. So these are pre-selected stocks. Gappers, 6 shorts. Yet again, too small data simply to draw conclusions, but yeah. Going back to the board, so this was the whole year. The October, this is where I was still just dabbling in my strategies, trying to find my way. Still unprofitable, but pretty even, so like 1 or 2 losses away from break even. Then in November, I started getting a little profitable. I had one really good trade here. I'm guessing this was the ACVA. Yeah, it was. And after that, a bit of choppiness, basically returned to break even after that. So this trade made my whole month's profits. If not for that, I would not have gone here. But just at least maintaining here, having some bigger winners, which I'm liking. I had 8 wins and 19 losses. Is that correct? That could be correct. Which means that I had pretty okay winners. I had, what was the average winner? Almost 2 hours, so that's probably quite good, to be fair. Expected value 1.68, profit factor 1.42, that's pretty believable. Yeah, so things started looking good here, and by December, I think this was a really good month, even though it was dry. I executed Feld. I had 8 trades in December. Jesus, that's not a lot. I had 3 wins, 5 losses, so that's pretty good. 38% win rate. Profit factor 4.5 for restored. I don't know what that is. I think it's an automatic calculation here. But my EV was 5.5. It's pretty good. I think half an hour EV, not super great, but acceptable for a dry month. So yeah, average loss is minus $2. I had a lot of break evens and small losses and stuff like that. So I am happy with keeping my losses small. That's partly why my equity curve looks this good, to be honest, like very nice stair step. But yet again, too little of a sample size, too small of a sample size to draw conclusions from. From my strategies, I had breaks, I think breaks and structure scalp were the best one, bringing in 6.5 hours gross, 5 hours net each. And then we had continuation scalps, also quite good, lagging a bit behind, but quite good. And then pre-breakouts were just like a disaster. But these three, I'm very, very glad they are split equally. So, gonna keep at it and work on these ones. So these are the same strats going out October. So for that, I would have about a 30%, a bit above 30% win rate, I think, or somewhere around there. Average win is 1.9 hours. That's pretty good. The ratio is very good with the average loss is -5 bugs, but I'm guessing it also calculates in the break evens. Largest win, largest loss both came from ACVA. We'll get into that in a bit. EV 2.5, not the best. Profit factor 1.75, quite okay. But I think this is quite an interesting metric. So Fridays, well, by the end of the week, Fridays were very shit compared to Monday through Thursday. So gotta keep gotta be more vigilant on Fridays and just be aware of the fact that on Fridays maybe I'm tend to slack a little bit because it's like the end of the week. It's not that I don't care as much. It's just that I'm a bit more easygoing, and I guess it's showing. So I gotta go on that for the yearly review from the psychological journal. So yeah, rolling on, developing the edge. Because the inhibitions, overconfidence, underconfidence, cycles, too many stuff and overcomplicating things. So we'll try to simplify it. Try to make things simple because I had inconsistent violations, which I really, really hated. It was like I didn't have a single issue. I had like tons of issues, which I guess stemmed from the fact that I had an incomplete engine, to use the words from Aristotle, to this, and or an incomplete system. So it was a system filler, not even psychological. So I just made it simpler, easier to execute, and I didn't use checklists because I realized that I freaking hate checklists and it just bogs my mind. So I created rules and then did tons of replay implementing those rules out of interest because I think that's what like keeps me going, like being actually interested in why something works and why it fails and not having to do a checklist, because there's a big difference in having to check a checklist and then being interested in why steeper pullbacks work out in a different manner than less steep pullbacks. So yeah. Anyways, with that, I get myself to select profitability, but I think I still need a few extra buffs per month, for which the new pot I'm in, I think, is gonna be absolutely great. Like just diversifying myself a little bit. And I gotta get on my write-ups because sometimes they're a bit inconsistent, each one missing a different element. And besides the few extra ups per month, I just gotta get higher on my R's because I had like 3 2R trades out of 58 trades. I had no 4R ones at all, which is like there definitely was in the last 3 4 months. And after that, deserved 4Rs. I had 24 1R trades. I think it's pretty okay out of 58 trades and 30 half hour trades with minus 0.5 hours net outcome, which is like I gotta tighten those up as well. Make pre-breakouts sticking out a lot, but yeah, because most of the pre-breakouts I took with half hour. But yeah, still. So this realizations is I need a system, I hate checklists, need reps for it to internalize, need reps to internalize it, and it has to make sense. So that's something that's just a personal thing for me. This realizations of these 3 months and mover day ATR, it's very good for predicting another mover day ATR, like looking back from the past when it had mover days and looking how much it moved could be a good predictor of how much it could move today where I'm watching the stock on news again. The no checklist thing that I already talked about and that I'm undersized. So yeah. Plus that I have a small average winners, I think. Because in the late months, I think like in December I had like what 1 point what? No, I think December was less than 19. I don't think it's showing it well. Yeah, it was 1.4. The average win. Versus 32. Yeah. So that's a bad image there. Correct. Anyway, sub 5 trades, ACVA. Not a big trade, but I had 2 Rs on it, so that's why it was the biggest. I had 2.5 Rs on this one. So ACVA, quite a good ticker reverse CBCD on the weekly, going down to this guy and below that. So now we're breaking a huge weekly level. 60 and stuff is just a bit of a reverse CBCD after a very steady and steep DTC. So not the prettiest, but I still could imagine it sinking. So it got a bit oversized and a bit fast. Let me just go into here so it is more visible. So we had a pretty sharp down move, got stumped. Not a big VPA, so wasn't really thinking it was capitulating or anything. A very aggressive pullback after we check out in too early, so these were definitely mistakes. I got a 1R, then I did a 1R after the sideways action. This was just definitely too early, insufficient confirmation, especially after a waterfall sell-off like this, even if it didn't have VPA. Anyways, waited later, got a double top here, double rejection of VWAP. Now we have the 5 is there as well as the UTL that was very nicely expressed and had great respect. So once we broke down from that, using my stop around here, went in a 1R, and then I don't know what this was. I think this was they accidentally exited the trade, then re-entered. But so yeah, I went in 2R, not 1R. And then yeah, I just let it ride back down to around here, I think. Because on these cases where you have like big wick and then a higher low with the wick, I'm just targeting the bodies because of exactly this is what happened. Not necessarily something that I deserve towards. I think I was oversized here. Maybe 1R here, and then on the second roll another R. But by then my risk reward would have been screwed up. So 1R opportunity. I just got lucky here. Dump luck. The second biggest or second biggest PNL trade was PL, which was basically an A grade ABCD here. Now, why not A plus? It wasn't steep, but it did undercut the 9 EMA. I would have loved it to bounce from the 9 EMA, but very nice DTL. Then broke out, no reaction in volume or price. We just broke out, had a bit of an ABCD, zoned in on this level, and now breaking out on news. We had risk expectations beat from a loss to break even, plus Trump, Bezos, Space Air Frenzy. Trump, Bezos, Elon, Bezos, I don't know. Doesn't matter. So pretty good news. Very nice ABCD, 9 touch. It's just a very clean up. So far, 15-minute Warby-ish, 5-minute engulfing, and then 3-bar play. So just very clean up. And I got a bit of an early entry here. I think I went 1R. And it definitely was risky. I was hoping it would shoot out of here with this ABCD, but it didn't really have a lot of volume on this leg up. So yeah, maybe because of that, it was less likely that it would just shoot off. Or maybe that's why we had this little extra consolidation. After this, I could have added another R, I think here or here. Not sure what my reward would have been, but I think it's a pretty good up. Very nice weekly, very nice daily news. 60-minute, not extended. Could have been all day hold. And even with that, wider stop. Let's see, like the widest possible 62. End of day hold, I would have gotten like a 1.3 R. High of day or like highest partial, I would have gotten a 2R. So yeah, could have been a good trade. I was definitely undersized here. But with the, let's see, the tighter entry here, actually 60. Yeah, that would have been a 2R, and this would have been almost a 3R. 3 to 1 at least opportunity. that I missed out on. So that's very good. I think this deserves the top five place. Then we had CoreWeave. Okay, so we came in. So red earnings, reverse ABCD coming down here, but not quite at the bottom. We are definitely on the backside of the week. Feel like this is a very large lower high, and we're just continuing volumes increasing. Reverse ABCD very early on. I'm not a big fan of this like gap here that got filled and then fake breaks and pulled back above it, and now we're breaking down again. But at least now we're holding it from below and forming a trend line, an upward trend line. So here's the breakdown of that. This was definitely a bit early. This was also seems insufficient. Like maybe this and this deserved half an hour, half an hour. But now this where we had the fake out of this mini range and they are now dumping still seems insufficient trend line wise and tightening wise. But this fake break just gives me that bit of extra confirmation. Stop here, entry here. And I was targeting this 90 area. So that's very nice. Just a clean trade. Not sure I would have been able to size bigger here. I think 1 hour was the perfect size. But the opportunity itself was very decent. It wasn't extra. So we have this, and that's Roblox again. Or not again, but it's Roblox. Very, very clean uptrend, almost 3x in here, then a gap out and fail. After that, we were just in a very slow uptrend each channel. Then a breakdown on news. Not sure if I rolled up with news was I didn't. So a very clean breakdown, high volume, and then another IC in the lower half of a not the lower third, but the half. And now we're breaking down from that, a tiny gap down, a retest into BTC, and then a breakdown of this candle. And we basically don't really have anything to clash into up until these guys. Maybe this little level, but wouldn't pay that much attention to it. This is much nicer, and I think it's a clean target, clear sky to clear. And that's that. Weekly is also below the weekly, what's the moving averages for me. 6-7 is just very, very pretty with the lower high, lower high, lower high, each one respecting the MAs. Level's not the cleanest, but we do have a double touch here and a bit of a level above, so that's somewhat of an extra confirmation. Not necessarily bad. We're going with a 5-minute orb-ish setup here. Large candle, retest of VWAP, and then we're breaking down. Use this as a stop. Then retested this level again. I definitely got in a bit early here, not my usual confirmation, but given how nicely everything lined up, how we had the retest, how we had this, how we had the inside candle after that, I was willing to give it a try, and I'm not mad that I called that audible, but I definitely had a 2-layered stop loss. So if price had gotten here, I still would not have gotten stepped out of my initial position, and I was getting ready to. I would be getting ready to get back in. I would have. Fuck, you know what I mean. I can't speak. So I think this was a very, very good op. I'm not sure if I was sized in 2Rs here. I think I was sized. It's 2R trade. Yes, definitely. Let's see. So yeah, I was sized in 2 times 1R on this trade. So that's why it was quite okay. And I think both are valid. Like, I would not have gone bigger on this or smaller. I think 2Rs is just the right one and in just the right order. Unfortunately, there were no ad opportunities, and I think my targeting was good as well. Would not have liked to stretch this one further, especially since it didn't have the highest article. So yeah, those were the biggest trades. As for the worst trades, I had PayPal. This is just a very, very fumbled trade. Remember this, I think weekly is quite nice. So we do have a bit of a misdirection here. I mean, my setup misdirection, but there's no like urgency to the setup because we're in the dead middle of this range. That being said, we are breaking down from this recent consolidation with a very nice double top fake, or not even double top, but a top, a fake break of that, then a lower high here, and now a fake break. So, sorry, now a breakdown. So I'm loving that. I'm not loving that there's no volume here. D16 is okay. There's nothing special about it. So it's like a B plus because it's not extended three bar play-ish setup, but not really giving any weight to that. It's just not bad. It's not good, but it's not bad. Then we have a bit of a sell-off, then a consolidation that's curling downward. So I was loving that. I entered in pre-market with a wider stop. Unfortunately, didn't get that. I hit 200 because I thought this was gonna like break down big. There was nothing below. I think we had a pretty clean target here as well. Not bad. The problem was we had 250% Marvel in pre-market. That's not something I would like to go too on, especially something this choppy. So probably should have gotten like half an hour in there. And then I did 1.5 or maybe even 2 hours when we got an actual clean breakout of the open with a good Arvel. Because otherwise it's just a bit too risky. Feels a bit too gambly. Anyways, so that happened. Then I got back in with another 1 hour entry. Once it broke down again, but by that time it was, I don't even didn't write up what the article was, but it was definitely under 100%. Did I not get that? Oh man. Anyways, it had very shit article, so should not even have entered on that. Maybe half an hour. So instead of 4 hour loss, which I overpressed definitely using these gun cups, not even gonna talk about that obvious violation. Should have been at most a 1 hour loss instead of 4 hours. Then it's ACBA. So yeah, already talked about that basically. Definitely very early here. And then this I could have like, instead of a 2 hour entry here, I could like maybe spread it out. But that would have won my RR. I was a bit oversized bit too ago because I was range trading someone. So yeah, then I had a SLDP, which was, yeah, I think I just got some slippage here, not the worst trade. What I don't like about this rollover setup is the peak out here is nice, lower high is nice, but basically we realized 100% of the profits from the breakout level. There is some room below and around 20, so for a breakdown trade it could have been nice, not a rollover. The breakdown level was okay. And I'm not sure what the article was. 250% PM, so it's 45% open. Yeah, that's not something I'm trading, so violation there. I'm not even sure if I marked it a blunder. And the last one's gonna be Lumen. Steady uptrend, so it's been going for a while, no clear legs. I'm not the biggest fan of that. Now we're getting right under this guy, and I'm trading into it like not a great position, especially on 1/2/3 CC, and basically the largest candle so far. So not something I'm really proud of trading. 15 minutes quite okay. 5 minutes too, so not really extended. Could have gone for a scalp. 1 minute is just too vertical here for me to play, and then these ops are a little bit better, but insufficient confirmation. After that, we did get a nice reaction once we got sufficient confirmation, but only for a few minutes. I'm guessing they don't really like the LTF. So yeah, these mistakes could easily have been avoided. So like ACBA, insufficient confirmation definitely should have waited, especially after this waterfall sell-off. PayPal Arvel issue and oversized because of that, plus the spread in pre-market that I didn't notice. Lumen 2 vertical 1 minute with a bit extended-ish LTFs that I have a gap into, even though we have good news. With insufficient confirmation and then SLDP, the Arvel thing again. Otherwise, I think it wasn't that bad of a setup. Maybe like a Hellfire would have been worth half an hour with a good Arvel. So, yeah. So that was basically the year for me. I mean, the most important notes. And yeah.